Hello everyone, this is Edwin Splinter on TTA Pulse. And you can watch me on twitch.tv, The Splendid Splinter, as I stream fairly frequently throughout the week. We're here to talk about the number one mistake when colonizing in Through the Ages, and to talk about considerations when bidding for colonies. I'm a little worried about giving this video away because I've been winning a lot of matches lately because of colonizing. So this will probably make everyone better, but bring it on. The number one mistake is that people pay way too much for colonies. Take the worst event that you could get hit by. I would put Uncertain Borders and Reign of Terror as pretty bad events, but also Border Conflict. All of these are strength-related events that everyone knows to hate. But what if I told you that my best events were Historic 1, Wealthy 1, and Developed 1? For some reason, my opponents would be overbidding 2, even 3 men and defense cards, and in a way, you could look at it as like a triple Reign of Terror if you spent 3 men to pay for a colony. So that ends up having an effect that's better than a negative strength event. Crazy, right? And I have yet to meet someone who actually has the problem of underbidding for territories. Please PM me if you find this unicorn, because I've yet to see that. Let's talk about a very simple thing. An event shows it's Wealthy 1. You want to pay a warrior for this Wealthy 1. It's a pretty good deal, right? Let's talk about this. When I first started playing TTA, I looked at it as an exchange of resources. A warrior? Oh, a warrior costs 2 rock. And the Wealthy gives me 6 rock. So that is a net gain of 4 rock, and there's an additional benefit of blue cubes. So this seems like a great deal, right? Wrong. Very, very, very wrong. Let's talk about what a warrior costs. A warrior is not just pure resources, it costs actions. We need a civil action to pop. We need, on average, 3 food to pop. We also need to use a military action, and most of us, at around the time when Wealthy 1 shows up, don't have more than 3 military actions. We don't have spare ones. So we lose the draw of a card. And we also need the rock to create it. Now, if we put it this way, I want you to look at this exchange of resources that we get for Wealthy 1 and see if it's worth it to you. 1 CA, 1 MA, 2 R, and 3 food. This doesn't seem as a slam dunk deal as it was before. If we're struggling to maybe justify the cost of 1 warrior for that Wealthy, you can imagine the horror of spending 2 units and additional defense cards to win this territory. That should tell you how egregious of an error it is to spend and overpay for these territories. If it's not Vast 1, because Vast 1 is quite good, 3 yellow tokens equals better food production, better happiness solution, and in general is worth at least 2 units. But for every other Age 1 territory, and I'm going to put Inhabited 1 in that group, don't spend more than 1 unit. For Age 2, the benefits are considerably better. If you're spending 3 units, you're overpaying a little bit. Getting it for 1 is an amazing deal, but 2, on average, like a medieval army or a fighting band, that's reasonable for an Age 2 colony. If you follow these rules of thumbs, you'll stay out of trouble, and you'll win more games of TTA. Some other factors to consider. Barbosa and Maria Theresa break the fundamental colonizing game. When you are behind in strength, Maria Theresa gives you 3 virtual rock. That is incredible. And that mitigates a lot of the costs that we're talking about for building another person. Same thing with Barbosa. Instead of costing a civil action, it completely bypasses that, and it has a reduction of 1 food and 1 rock. Barbosa is a colonizing machine and changes the math of these colonies. Winning Vast 1 for 3 warriors actually is a great deal for Barbosa. Not many other leaders can say that. Also, there's going to be situations where a colony shows up right at the end of Age 1 to Age 2, and somebody has a happiness problem. Maybe they have 3 food in the bank, and they need 4 to pop. And if they got rid of 1 unit, it would just allow them to not have to disband to deal with their happiness problem. In that case, I would definitely bid 2 on either side, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to disband anyway, and that is more costly than to just throw them into a territory. So you really want them to pay 3, not 2 for that territory. You'll see these situations come up fairly often, and you'll know that's the right time to pay a little extra. There's going to be times we were just given warriors, like the free warrior event. We have maybe a legion or a fighting band tactic where we have an excess of warriors, and we want to transition to something like hussars or fortifications. In this case, spending extra to transition your warriors and to reassign your yellow cubes into better units that you can use better later, that's worth it to spend a little extra if that's a clean, smooth transition for you. Some other things that really change the math: if there's a cook in play with Suez and impact of colonies, obviously these equate to additional culture and rock production, both for yourself if you have them or your opponent if they have them. It changes the math to fight a little bit more for colonies if it really affects culture and production. So as you can see, if you have Suez or Cook, it puts your opponent in an even more awkward situation where they have to overpay for colonies to prevent you from getting benefits over and over again. It's a terrible situation to be as the opponent. And last, there's the classic, it is the final turn or the second to last turn of the game, and historic or autonomous is shown. And it's one of those games where the culture race is extremely close. You have a very difficult decision of how much to bid for these territories because sometimes all in is correct. That means you're throwing in an army of 40 plus. This is especially useful when you're last to act because you can then decide if there is, for example, an impact of harmony, an impact of competition, or an impact of strength that can change the math of throwing away all of your units. Okay, that's it. I think after seeing how much it costs, the true cost of colonizing, I think you'll realize how much you're overpaying for colonies, if I were to guess at your tendency. And hopefully this will translate to you being wiser in bidding less and smarter in your future TTA games. I hope this helped. Take care and see you on stream.